What's good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I'm break down what's going on with Tesla stock, what you should be watching for moving forward, some other important levels on the stock. I'm also going to talk about SPY and the QQQ, and talk about the news that came out for Tesla that's causing it to drop the way it is. Before breaking things down about all of this information, let me just mention a couple of things. Firstly, I am not a financial planner, so make sure you take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you are guaranteed up to 12 free stocks. The offer ends very soon, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Tesla's currently around 266 a share right now, dropping very hard. It's down over 8.5% at the time I'm recording this. And the question is, why did Tesla drop extra hard today? And that's because we had two negative catalysts. The first one would be the earnings call with Elon Musk and the entire Tesla team, where they announced that there is likely going to be lower production for Q3 and possible declines in other factors. Now, that's very important for them as guidance was not the strongest. And the second thing that's going to hurt them would be this news right here about how there's a real recall for Tesla because of a seatbelt issue. And we have about 17,000 different cars that had to be recalled because of that. It's not that significant. It's not that massive, but it's worth noting because right here, it was found by the NHTSA that the front row seatbelts may not be connected properly to the different anchors. And this could lead to the seatbelts detaching on their own. So it's a very, very important issue. This article is saying it's about 16,000. I saw another one saying it's closer to 17,000. So somewhere around there, 16, 17,000 cars. It's not so massive, but I mean, once again, news like this is still negative for any car company. And that's part of why Tesla's reacting even more negative after that came out. So looking at Tesla, how do I see this moving? What is going on with it? Well, after earnings, I told you the odds do favor downside for Tesla, and that is exactly what's happening. I mean, it's down another 8% after it dropped yesterday. So it's dropping pretty darn hard. But the question is, what level is going to be very important? When you zoom out of the chart like this, there's actually this unfilled gap down here around this 262 area. And it looks like Tesla's going for that level. So I do believe now it can actually test that since it broke below 265. Temporarily. So very soon, by today or tomorrow, it should be coming down to 262. And we're going to see an attempt to bounce after it fills that gap. Now, if we can get enough buyers to try to get this thing to bounce there, yes, it could try to bounce. But what's very hard is sometimes it's hard to predict how severe selling pressure will be because it depends on the news and other factors. Sometimes it's tricky, just like how today, it was trying to bounce off this like 275 area. That's where Tesla had nice support. And it ended up just failing to do so, right? It just came right back down. So going forward, we're going to be watching 262 on Tesla. We have this unfilled gap right here. If it breaks once again below 265, which it actually did temporarily, but came right back up. If it doesn't, breaking below that, you're going to be watching that. If that fails, if 262 fails us, the next major support is going to be around right here. This 253 area is going to be the next like really important support after 260. And then after that, we have the 200 EMA on the 4-hour time frame. It's currently at 250.97. That would be the next major support. It should bounce off that at the very least. Not saying it has to go that low. I'm just saying like if it does break these supports, that's going to be the next one to watch for, and that's where it could bounce. All right, so keep that on your radar. It dropped pretty hard. For its resistance, we're going to be watching these levels right here. So there are lots of meticulous levels on Tesla. Just broke through so many supports. If it tries to push up 268, it's going to be some resistance. There's also resistance at the 50 EMA around 270, very close to that. 272, 275, and then 277.68 are all going to be resistance levels. I don't see it coming back up to like the high 270s for a while. And we're going to be watching how it reacts to this 265 zone. If it breaks below this, it's going to likely come all the way down to this 262 area. So if it breaks below the low of the day, 262 is going to be a very important test to fill that gap. And if that fails us, there's 260 and then potentially the even lower levels I was mentioning earlier. So for now, it is still looking more bearish. I mean, it hasn't truly bounced yet. It's trying to base. That's the thing. It's trying to base. But there was an instance right here where it was trying to base around this like 270 area and just ended up continuing to fall. So the same thing could happen. So just be very, very careful. Investors tend to be very exuberant in the words of Elon Musk. They tend to be very excited about things. They tend to exaggerate and cause massive moves over like even small pieces of news. In this case, the news was kind of significant for Tesla, so that's why it's making such a massive move. And there's no sign of it being done just yet. All right, so just be very careful. Watch your levels carefully. And now when it comes to SPY, it's also in a very similar trend. Notice how as Tesla is dropping, SPY happens to be dropping too. The whole market is actually dropping to some degree. When I was looking at SPY on the 30 minutes time frame, we had this head and shoulders I called out. This is what it's looking like. As you can see, we have this nice head that formed. We have the left shoulder here and the right shoulder formed already, and there's likely going to be more downside. We're going to be watching a lot of these imbalances down in the 452s, and this thing could actually come all the way down to potentially the 450 area. That's actually very possible. The very low 450s is still very possible. Looking at this trend, maybe by tomorrow. So just be very careful. I want everyone to just be careful looking at SPY. It's still looking bearish. There's no true sign of it trying to bounce yet. Just be very patient with it and just know this is what the trend is looking like. But just in case there's some kind of good news or some other analyst says they're bullish on the markets, hypothetically, you're going to be watching 453.5 as our resistance. That's going to be the major resistance level. Above that, watch 453.8 and then 454, followed by 454.5 to 455. All as resistance zones. I don't really see us breaking above the high of the day, though. So far, it's just looking very weak. Came down to fill this gap as well on the 5-minute time frame. I'm anticipating it to eventually sink down into the 452s and lower very, very soon. So that's what I'm seeing for SPY, still looking relatively weak. And then with Netflix and Tesla selling off yesterday, the triple Q gave us the bearish signal. I told you in the morning we're likely going to see this thing test 380. Considering we were actually right here in the morning, we were actually in the 383s. I was telling you if it breaks 382, we're going to be watching 380. And if anything, it didn't just break 380. It actually broke below that and came down to about the next level, very close to the 378 area. Now we're going to be watching how does it react to 377, 375 below that. And I also want to note that I believe there was a gap around 373 the last time I checked this. Let me try to find where that gap is. There was a gap down here, I remember. I think right here around this 373 area. So that tells me if we break below this 50 EMA, that's going to be support to watch for 377.5. If it breaks this 50 EMA, it's going to fill the gap to 373. There's going to be more downside coming. Okay, so just be prepared for that. If it tests this, it could try to bounce off this. There could be an attempt to bounce off 377.5 before that happens. If not, if it eventually breaks either today or tomorrow, it's going to come down to 373. That's my target on the triple Q if we get this break below this support zone. There's a good chance it's going to happen. The current trend is very bearish looking. So watch it carefully. Let's see how it reacts to this test. If it breaks, tech is going to see more downside. Tesla could sink more, unfortunately. And that is simply what the chart is telling us. All right. So with that said, Nvda, not looking too bad. It's getting very close to its 50 EMA. It tried to base around 460 not too long ago, then it ended up dropping below it a little bit more. The whole market is selling off, so it's not really Nvidia's fault. And still, it's only down like 2%, 2.9%, like maybe 3%. Not that bad. This thing could run 10% in a day like it's nothing. This thing could move like crazy. I see a good buying opportunity for Nvidia very soon. What could you do? You could just dollar cost average the more it drops. So just dollar cost average into calls again and again and again and give it a lot of time. Because when we get to August, I see this thing running very nicely, especially approaching its earnings. This is a good opportunity, but it's not done dropping yet. So we're going to be watching 455 potentially, then 451.95 or our 50 EMA as our major important levels. So watch this all very carefully. We even saw 453 at one point. I don't think it's going to sink insanely hard. I mean, like 2.9% is not that much. It's going to bounce in the future too, so just be ready. And with that said, thank you all so much for listening. All right, so Tesla in the market to the moon. The long term is still bright. The market will bounce eventually, okay, but we're not ready to bounce yet. The market's going to continue to slow down, completely fine. We were pumping so much over the last few days, last few weeks. This is completely normal. All right, have a great day, everyone. I'll see you guys in the next one. Tesla in the market to the moon, and peace out.